Good, good. We starting?
You ready to
Let's
do
get this
this?
bad boy started. Yeah, absolutely.
Oh.
Let's do it.
Week 4, State of the Kingdom. How we feeling?
I'll just have you guys know, just as a long time Swifty since week three or
Week
whatever.
3, yeah.
Yeah, week 3. I'm feeling pretty good.
Yeah.
How about you guys?
Undefeated under the rule of Taylor Swift here in
Yeah,
Chiefs Kingdom, you know?
yeah. And I welcome our Swifty overlords as our new masters as
Please.
we go forth.
Wow.
Hey,
Yep. So y'all heard it here first. Just
It-
come just like and subscribe the podcast, and yeah, y'all can comment all kind of
I'm
lyrics or whatever the errors are, 13, all that good stuff. Just
I'm
come forth.
all for new fans of Chiefs Kingdom, whether they become bedazzled or not. I'm not against any of that whatsoever. How I'm feeling though is I'm feeling a little weird.
Okay.
I know we'll
Fair.
get into the game itself, but I'm feeling a little weird because I feel like there's a lot of focus on Taylor,
Oh, that's what
understandably.
you feel about. Okay. Okay.
And I feel like I don't know. Maybe it's not a bad thing that there's a lot of focus on Taylor and not as much on uh the play because the play was not that great.
Sure. Sure. I thought that's what
But
you
I,
meant.
yeah.
I don't know. I thought that's what you guys were alluding to here with your how are we feeling?
No, I assumed Billy meant the team, but I had to take it
no,
there because
just
we gotta get this clickbait.
got it.
Oh yeah.
Overall, no, just the overall feeling of everyone over here. Oh, gosh.
Absolutely.
No, so, all right. So usually we start with a little bit of a segment called Positive Yards, but we're thinking about starting to change it up, Ra. If you want to walk us through what this little change
Yeah.
up is.
So, as we know, I mean, we won't, and I promise y'all, this is going to be just a regular football show. We're not going to really dive into the Swifties,
All
the
these
Taylor
things.
Swift aspect of it, but it's hard to escape right now, right? It's everywhere.
Totally.
It's to a point where YouTube TV, when you paused it during the game, which I did this, there was a little heart hand emoji where the cursor was.
Oh my god.
Yeah, yeah. So
Amazing.
they've taken over for the time being. That's why I said the Swifty overlords have taken over. But, we're watching the game. And, obviously she's there. And she brought a lot of her celebrity friends. So we had, Hugh Jackman, Ryan Reynolds, Blake Lively, some other celebrities that I don't know who they are, but on the internet people knew who they were. So I was like, yeah, that's cool. We've reached that Showtime Lakers status. You know what I'm saying? Like we got
Uh-huh.
celebrities at the game, like watching our team play and all that stuff. So it's an event
Right.
now. And it kind of just had me, you know, come up with the idea. Let's just play fantasy, right? Like we're all big fans of this team, right? We all go watch the games. I'm sure we've all been to a game or so. Let's say, you know, you get a call from Clark Hunt. He hits you up. Hey, I want you to have one of these VIP suites, and you can invite whoever you want. You know what I'm saying? It's your suite. You can come watch the team play. Um, I wanted to know, and feel free to chime in the comments too. Who would you invite if you had to pick 3 guests to come with you in the VIP suite for Kansas City Chiefs football game?
And if I remember when you put this on Twitter, you said specifically it has to be people currently living.
I would prefer, yeah. Let's so just for the sake of our argument, like
Okay.
let's say like this happens next week, right? Well, we're at Vikings, but either way, yeah, you get tickets next week to go to a game. Yeah, people currently living, and obviously they can't be on the roster because this is who you're coming to watch play. So for this season, that's the scenario. And so, Billy, how about you? Do you
No,
got
you're
me?
not supposed to call on me this
Yes,
fast. No,
he didn't call on
see,
me.
no,
Yes.
I'm sorry. You were the one who came up with this, so you have to break out your 3 while I make up
Okay.
my 3 real quick here because
that's
I
fine.
haven't thought
That's
about it at all.
Okay, well that's fair. That's fair. So I came up with a tentative 3, but the
Ooh.
third has changed like throughout the day.
Mm-hmm.
So,
Yeah, as it will.
so number one's easy. LeBron James.
Okay.
LeBron, hey,
man.
bro. Hey, man, I got tickets. Chiefs, come hang out. Let's talk about greatness. Let's talk about how you're the GOAT and not MJ. Let's go. You know, like, I'm just playing.
Oh
But
man.
number one, LeBron James. Number two, she performed at Super Bowl 54 and did a damn good job. I'm bringing Shakira in my suite. You know what I'm saying? I got to flex a little bit. Like, hey, I know you was courtside at the Miami game talking to Jimmy, but I could bring you to the VIP suite where the Chiefs play and we actually win championships, unlike the Miami Heat. Why don't you come hang out? You know?
Well, and
So
and
that's
I
my
do
second.
believe she is freshly divorced as well. So, you would, have the opportunity
Shoot your
Yeah.
to,
shot. You saw what
just shoot your
Travis did,
shot.
so
Exactly.
yeah.
I would have my friendship
Bring
bracelet
your
ready
friendship bracelet, right? Yeah.
on deck. Okay. Number three, I've struggled with all day long. All day long. Because each of these people are likely to get canceled at some point within the next year or so. So my first pick was Dave Chappelle. I was like, it depends on what Dave Chappelle has said that week in the
Right.
media. You know what I'm saying?
He's a
Then,
constant threat of the cancellation. You're absolutely correct.
yes. Then I wanted to go Will Smith, who's also not in the best light right now.
Wait, aren't you supposed to do 3? You're up here with how
Wait,
many?
he's trying to decide between Dave and Will, and I
Yeah,
guess you
I've
have
got a lot
another
of
one.
I've got a lot of famous friends who I can only have one more ticket for, and I struggled here between Dave Chappelle, who's probably going to get canceled this week for something, Will Smith, who I think is currently canceled for something.
So
Well, we know, but yeah. Jonathan Majors, who's also currently
He was
canceled, as
also
far as
currently
I know.
canceled. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
wow.
So this one probably a cop out, but I'm gonna go Denzel Washington, man. Denzel Washington ain't done nothing
Ooh.
wrong. Denzel Washington, hey man, he comes sits Lakers courtside every week, every game, along with Jack Nicholson and stuff. Yeah, hey, let this be your new team. I know he's a Cowboys fan. This is America's new team. Come watch the Chiefs with myself, LeBron, and Shakira.
There you
So
go.
those are my picks.
All right, Hung. It's up to you now. I only have one so far picked, so I need a little more time.
I mean, I need a little bit more time too, but we'll
Oh
go
my
with it. Okay.
goodness.
Oh, what? Look, my brain is fried. It's always fried. Who am I kidding? I can't use that as an excuse anymore. Okay. I would pick Jennifer Lopez for obvious reasons. She's
Yeah.
beautiful, she's hot, she's gorgeous. I wanted all the tips from her while we're sitting there watching the game, and she's probably not gonna eat any of the junk food I would normally eat at a football game because you can't be looking 50 and looking that fine eating junk food, right? So
Okay,
J-Lo
hold on.
for
I
sure.
do have to ask you though. Would you feel worse if she just ate the daylights out of that food and then you're sitting there like you're 50 and you look that good and you're able to eat like this too? What would be worse for you? Which
No, it wouldn't be
She's eating some
that would not
seemingly
make me feel
ranch.
worse because then I would like dive right into and be like, yeah, we're snack sisters. So that's what I'd be like. But then I'd be like,
Absolutely.
can I be gifted your personal trainer? Thank you. But no, I got raw, right? So I would be fine by the time I'm 50. So
Absolutely. We'll get right. We'll get right.
exactly. So between he and my brother, I'm good. I'm covered. It's just the discipline
You're doing
aspect,
great
so
right now. You're doing great
right
right
now.
now. Oh my god, this the one time you haven't walked in a while out of like
No,
every day you're
I
up at
walked
like
early
4
this
a.m.
morning. I
Yeah,
walked early
exactly.
this morning to be
Exactly.
fair, right? And I would
Exactly.
normally be walking during the pod, but yeah, we're gonna take the evening off. So J
Oh.
Lo for sure, gotta have J Lo up in there. Somebody else who I'd love to have in there, and they all have to be living. Okay, we're just gonna put Jalen Hurts in there because I could I wouldn't mind sitting next to
Okay.
Jalen Hurts and
Meeting
So
having
okay.
him.
All right.
I mean,
Jalen
he's
Hurts on a bye week. We'll say that.
on
Okay.
a bye week, right? In the
Right,
VIP
right.
suite.
In the
Yeah, yeah,
VIP
there we
suite
go.
for sure.
I'd have him in there, and my third person is, and this was the one I wasn't sure which one, but speaking of goats, I'd have Michael Jordan in there. My childhood idol. I'd have him in there.
Interesting. I
Okay.
like how we have kind of like a competing suite. Like you got
Right?
I've got Shakira and LeBron. You've got J Lo and Jordan. That's interesting.
So yeah.
Yeah, we'd have
I
some
think those would be
competition there.
my 3. I think, like, man, those would be some fun people to go to, sit in the VIP box with at a Chiefs game. when
Absolutely.
Clark Hunt calls me up and says, "Hey, Hong, thank you for your 2 years in the franchise many
Right.
moons ago,
Absolutely.
and
Here's your
thanks for
reward.
continuing to be a big fan. Here's your reward because, back then we didn't pay very well, and we wanna make up for that."
Did something change? They pay well now?
I don't know that they pay
I'm pretty sure
well.
they
I'm
don't.
sure they pay slightly better.
Sure. Inflation. Yeah.
Yes. All right, Billy, I hope I stalled enough for you.
Oh, you did. I wrapped it up. All right, so I the first one's a little left field, very nerdy, but
Let's
certainly
get
certainly
it.
one I really want. And I don't even know if either of you have heard of him. It's Brandon Sanderson. He's an author, and he's
Okay.
written my favorite trilogy of all time, and just probably my favorite currently living author. Right now. So, anytime he puts a book out, I'm, one of the first to buy it. I love it.
I love that.
Yeah. So, get him in there, and then keeping with the theme of the writers, the guy who wrote my favorite TV show of all time, Aaron Sorkin. I would love to have him out there, the writer of famous things such as West Wing, A Few Good Men, Newsroom on HBO. He's written a lot of really good stuff. So, it'd be really cool to be able to pick his brain and honestly just see what the difference between writing a book series is like compared to writing TV with him and Sanderson. And then to really just round out the nerd trifecta, as far as I can tell, this individual has only ever been to one home Chiefs game, so might as well go ahead and give him the sweet treatment with how big of a Chiefs fan he is. Henry Cavill.
Oh, that's
Superman.
Yeah, that's a great answer.
Yeah. So.
Has he only been to one game?
I did a quick Google, just curious to see, and as far as
No way.
the quick Google says is that he's only been to one game at Arrowhead. So,
Interesting.
Yeah.
And
I figured he'd been to multiple.
I feel like it was within the last 6 to 7 years he was at that game too, because I remember coming across it when I was looking for content to source for Chiefs Fangirl back in the day.
Sure.
Yeah, so
well, I know he was there when he was rocking that mustache, right?
Yeah.
When he rocking that mustache for the James Mission Impossible.
The Mission Impossible movie, yeah.
Yeah.
Yep. Yeah, I mean,
switch seats and let me sit by him for a little while.
Yeah, we'll share. It'll be great. Yeah, no. As far as the quick Google says, he claims to have only been to one, but who knows if that's changed since that article has come out. So.
Mm-hmm.
Well, he'll have to come back. He'll have to come back.
Exactly. So
absolutely. Well, people, if y'all like that, let us know in the comments, and also let us know who you would bring to your VIP suite. We'd love to hear it. I was hoping to get some tweets. Didn't really get any tweets on there, so yeah, leave a comment. We can read it on the next show.
Bring it up in the next
just
show.
kind of just see what people come up with.
Yeah, or tweet it out during the week too, y'all. So don't be afraid to go answer that question.
Absolutely.
Well, then to talk about important things, I guess, and actual celebrities who have attended Chiefs games.
Most recently in a suite.
Right. It's what? So I know, Ra, you talked about it just a second ago, but it was Deadpool. It was Wolverine himself. We had... Oh gosh, what was her name in Game of Thrones? Even Sophia Turner. What was her character?
She was there too.
Sansa Stark.
Yeah,
Sansa Stark. Yeah,
that's right.
Blake Lively was there. I mean, it was. I'm sure that was just the people who were in Taylor's suite alone, and then of course the real celebrities showed up. It seems like around the third quarter, Donna Kelsey walking into the room. So
had to get across from one game to the other.
Right. And hey, I mean,
did she bring a little bit of Jake's from State Farm? Did she bring some insurance with her, or did he stay for the? Well, did he not get to attend the second game?
by my account, by what I remember, is that when she was shown on the broadcast, the Jets didn't score again, and the Chiefs did. So.
Yeah.
I think some of that insurance came along with her. Now, I don't know how long she was there at the game, but with the broadcast.
Are we considering Jake from State Farm a celebrity now?
Absolutely.
So.
Yeah, I think we have to.
Sure. I don't know anymore, but okay, fine.
We'll define celebrity on another upcoming episode, y'all.
Sure.
What constitutes? Yeah. All right. Yeah, let's talk about the game itself, though. I know we were texting a little bit there, but yeah, we eked out a win, 23-20, but I don't know about you guys. It felt like we really eked this one out. Like we got lucky.
We sure did. Especially after the first quarter when
Uh-huh.
things kind of started to get really messy. It was like we were just struggling to hang in there.
Sure.
This was, and especially too, we go back to like our score predictions from last week's episode here. We were pretty confident in how many more points that our offense would have, how fewer points the Jets would have. So this game overall felt like it was a really big struggle bus, and it was a real check me moment, you know? And yeah, I mean, I giggle every time I come across a Taylor Swift meme, but the one that says, "Oh my God, all these new football fans, all these Swifties who are new football fans who just watched this game are going to think that Zach Wilson is truly a better quarterback than Patrick Mahomes."
I mean, if
And I think
you're
that one sticks out the most to me because of all of the stats and everything that have been brought to light after this week, of course, is the one that says that Zach Wilson is the only quarterback who's been able to best Patrick's numbers in any game in NFL and college history or college
sure,
at either level.
sure,
And
yeah,
it's like
and
Zach Wilson.
which I really, I mean, I saw that tweet too, and I was really surprised. I was like, even like as many times as we faced Brady, I was like, our numbers were better than him during those like those
Yeah.
AFC Championship games. That's actually really interesting that this is the first time ever.
Mm-hmm.
Then it happened to be the dude that looks like uh he would play Zach Wilson in a Disney Channel original movie. But yeah, that's wild.
That is,
But
yeah, I had no idea about that. That's
Yeah.
wow.
yeah,
But hey,
and then I agree. If this is your first time really paying attention to football, yeah, you'd kind of probably not be that invested. You probably wouldn't get it after watching the game like
Oh,
that.
sure. Exactly.
Yeah. Like, oh, really? Okay. Like, this is the team Taylor likes. All right. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So you should have came last week. Damn it.
And come back next week, you know.
Yeah.
let's
Just
hope.
just
Yeah,
keep
let's
coming
hope.
back.
Yeah, we'll
Yeah.
eventually show up.
Here's
Oh,
Yeah.
go ahead.
It just so yeah, overall you guys like how did you guys feel about this? I mean, first quarter was fantastic.
yeah. First quarter looked solid. We were running. We looked like a
Well-oiled
well
machine.
unit.
Yeah.
Yes, that's what I was going to say. And we were running the ball effectively.
Hey,
Yeah.
I thought, yeah.
Finally, man. And I've been really frustrated with how they've been using the running backs this year. Because one, it's like if they choose to use them at all, they lean into CEH. But then then yeah, Pacheco gets his carries, but they give CEH a lot of carries that I'm like, if this had been Pacheco, man, like this might have been like something really really nice. But
Right.
I was listening to Mark Gunnels today on 610 Sports. They made a good point on what I think the Chiefs might be doing with the running back core. So yes, they are running the hell out of CEH right now, or using him a lot more than they were last year toward the beginning of the season, because this is last year's rookie deal. So they're going to use him up right now. They're going
Mhm.
to use him up, and they're going to alternate with him and Pacheco, because ultimately, toward the end of the season, you want Pacheco and McKinnon to be as fresh as possible. I think McKinnon's been in, right? He's been in, but he's not been the 1-2 punch that him and Pacheco were last year. It's been a
Right.
combination of CEH and Pacheco with McKinnon, making a few appearances here and there. But I do believe the idea is to have CEH kind of carry a lot of the workload toward the beginning of the season, then toward the end of the season, McKinnon being kind of the vet that he is, starting to take up that role a little bit more, and along with letting Pacheco do his thing. Hopefully, right?
Yeah.
Hopefully they see what happened today or see what happened on Sunday and go, oh, you know what? Our run game is effective sometimes. We should use it more.
I
So
and I think it is good to remember too that McKinnon is older, quite a bit older,
yes,
than all these
yes,
other guys. So like you do have to take that into consideration. And if you use him a lot towards the start of the season, even if he stays uninjured, like genuinely uninjured, the wear and tear is still going to be there compared to somebody like a CEH or a Pacheco, who are super young guys that can take those hits and keep rolling no problem,
sure.
comparatively.
Mhm.
So yeah, no, it's not a bad call out. But like you said, it's you really have to balance that with the fact that like CH barely gets any yards after contact. When he even is free to run, he's not that fast. He's barely getting a high average on his carries. So hopefully this is something that's like and I'm sure because they're infinitely smarter than all three of us combined. Nagy and Reed have taken into consideration and recognized as a threat is that it's like, okay, we're leaning on CEH now. Is it worth the trade-off compared to feeding Pacheco more? Or, one thing that's kind of surprised me some, and we saw a little bit of a glimmer of it this last game, but we haven't seen it too much this year, is that Reed really likes to do those kind of like reverses or sweeps with wide receivers getting a chance to run the ball. And
Yeah,
sure, we're not the Legion of Zoom anymore, but we still have some speedy guys and Moore and Tony who have proven that they're really good having the ball handed off to them. Sky Moore got 2 carries for 19 yards in the game on Sunday. I'd really like to see a little bit more of that kind of come into our game plan if the intention is to continue to rest McKinnon for later in the year.
That would
yeah,
make sense.
it would, but it doesn't feel like they even really. Do y'all even really feel like Sky Moore has been a factor at all?
No, not at all.
Like you said, 2 catches for what, 19 yards?
2 carries
Or
for
two
19
carries for
yards.
19
And
yards?
then
Yeah.
and then he
0 catches, right?
0 catches this game, but
0 catches, yeah.
other games he's had some good catches. He's had I think at least 1 touchdown, if not 2 by now. He was certainly a non-factor in this game, but honestly, our passing game was garbage in this game.
Yeah.
So I don't think you can really shame him too much for that kind of performance.
I don't know, man. Like, and I know you have your thoughts about
Mhm.
how Mahomes played. Mahomes didn't play like great. There's no doubt about that. What was his rating? 67 or something like
Something
that?
like
It
that,
was,
yeah.
yeah. His QBR was 67%. I'll look that up. Y'all can fact check me in the comments if you like, but it wasn't like what we think Mahomes to be, right? It wasn't that.
Right.
My thing on that though is 2 things. One, this is not the Bears. This is actually a really good defense coming in this game. The
Mhm.
Jets are a good defense. They locked up Travis Kelce. That was their plan from the minute this game started. They were going to make sure he was a non-factor, right? And I would say locked up. He just wasn't really, they weren't able to get to Kelce like he wanted to, you know. I really don't think the rest of our receivers can really do much. Like I don't think they could get separation either. And this has been kind of an issue for a while now. I know, like, since we've had this podcast, 2 things we always complain about, right? Since we've had this podcast, y'all can go back. It was we don't use the run game a lot,
Right.
and
Right.
we don't have a number 1 wide receiver.
Right.
Whereas previous, like last year, it felt like we had a bunch of number 2 wide receivers. This
Yeah.
year, it feels
Mhm.
like we have a bunch of number 3 wide receivers. Like all of them are wide receiver 3s, and they're trying to be wide receiver 1. They can't get separation from these guys, and Mahomes essentially doesn't have anything to anyone to throw it to. And then Mahomes he does what we expect him to do, which is some Mahomes shit where he throws some off the wall ball that would normally go into somebody's hands, but because he can't get anyone open, it ends up being an interception. He tries to force something to happen. And I just feel like that's kind of what happened in this game. So that's just it was a mix of I do not think he played his best, but I also don't think we really had a lot of options.
Mhm.
But
Well,
yeah,
so
go
here's
ahead.
here's where I'm coming from, and I know you alluded it to. I've been
Sure.
disappointed with Mahomes' play overall. I think we got to take the Bears game out of conversation because that one's obviously a fluke, and we'll talk about it
Yeah.
on the next slide. But the Bears are bad. they're going
They're
to get the number
terrible.
one pick.
They're
There's
terrible.
no way they're not. Is blowing that game against Denver proves that it's like you can't judge anything off the success of a Bears game. Uh, but I mean, even if we are
Yeah.
considering it, I mean, Mahomes is at a 2-for-1, uh, rating right now when it comes to touchdowns to interceptions. For every 2 touchdowns he's throwing 1 interception, and that's not a good stat line at all.
No.
Yeah.
And I mean,
Yeah.
you look at his entire career, and that's barely been a stat period. He has 1,000 yards so far
Sure.
across all games, with only one game being even above 300. And shockingly, that's not the game against the Bears. It was the game before that against the Jaguars. We had 300 passing yards in that. But even against the Bears defense, he only had 270 yards. Granted, he got taken out
Yeah.
for a later bit of that game, but you would still expect Patrick Mahomes to easily break 300 yards against that Bears defense. And he sure as heck didn't against the Jets on Sunday.
Yeah.
In addition to that, his quarterback rating is barely eclipsed 70 in every single game, if it has eclipsed it at all. Like you said, it was well in the 60s in this last game. And then on top of that, and who knows if this is like just pure gameplay, who knows if this is like the plays they're calling or whatever the case may be. It feels like he's running a lot more than he used to also.
He's scrambled.
Yeah.
Yeah,
It's screaming a lot.
he's having to scramble a lot. So, that feeds into offensive line issues. That feeds into wide receivers not getting open, sure. But also, like, how many times has he potentially missed a check down? How many times does he just not feel confident enough in himself to complete a throw he wanted to do? For
Sure.
comparison's sake, the past 3 years prior to this, he had about 60 carries on the entire season. This year, he's already up to 23 in 4 games. So
Sure.
it's, something's happening where it's like we can't blame just the receivers. Because, like, okay, yeah, we don't have we do have a clear defined number 1 wide receiver, and it's Travis Kelce. He is not a tight end. He's a wide receiver at the
Who
end of
was
the
out
day.
one game?
Who was out? Yeah, he was out one of those games, but still against the Jags, he was there. Against the Jets, he was there. He was blanketed in both of those games. He's been blanketed for the past 3 years, though. There's not been a single game we've played that he hasn't been double covered, right?
That's
Right.
true, but I do think in those previous years we had more competent receivers to throw to. Like, say what you will, and to your point, as far as like Mahomes' performance, someone posted this earlier. Actually, I see this from How About Those Chiefs. He retweeted somebody. Um, like overall, Mahomes' stats for these first 4 games are very similar to Russell Wilson's stats. So he's got Russell
Oh,
Wilson's, yeah. So
Yeah.
for the first 4 games, Mahomes got 1,006 passing yards. Russell Wilson has 1,014 passing TDs. Mahomes has 8. Russell Wilson has 9. Um, Mahomes has 23 rush attempts, like you said. Russell Wilson only has 11. But yeah, their quarterback completion percentage, Mahomes is 64.3. Russell Wilson is 67.4. Now, I actually don't think Russell Wilson has been playing all that bad in the games that I've actually caught, like in some of the games I've caught. I just think the whole team is bad. Like, I just think they need
Yeah.
to blow it up. Like, they just need to blow it up. I think he looks, though, a little bit better than he did last year. But overall, he's technically playing a little bit better than Mahomes, and I would say they're both playing kind of average. But I do think when Mahomes' first year, he had like a smorgasbord of weapons. So he had
Right.
Tyreek Hill, he had Travis Kelce. When Sammy Watkins wanted to be a number 1, he was an elite number 1 when he wanted to be on the field. You know what I'm saying? Like, he had a big body to throw to. Since then, it's just kind of gone from guys like that to, okay, now we got Juju Smith-Schuster and MVS, McCole Hardman, and I would even say that group was more productive than, like, I would, as much as we ragged on McCole Hardman and such, like that, he was good at that jet sweep. He was good at that jet sweep, and Juju was very consistent. Juju was very consistent.
Yeah.
These first couple games, the Detroit game, got guys dropping passes all over the place. No Travis Kelce. Guys getting in the balls in their hand, right? In Tony's hand, drops 4 passes.
Mhm.
And yeah, Mahomes, he's thrown, so yeah, and like you said, we could throw the Bears game out of there. I would say the Jaguars game, um, don't know. Do we consider Jaguars defense good?
I would.
Because
Absolutely.
yeah, I mean
Yeah.
they're pretty decent. Yeah, like that was probably more of a tougher challenge. Like Kelsey just got back. You got problems with penalties on the offensive line. Um yeah, and then obviously, like I said, we're gonna watch the Bears game. And yeah, Mahomes has thrown some boneheaded plays here in this last game against the Jets, but I really don't think it's all on him. I think it's kind of a mix of the whole team, just the whole offense just not being as firepower as we know them to be before. And what my fear is, what's going to happen with this team is, I think what they are trying to do is they're trying to do what they feel like the Patriots did, where they feel like they could just get a bunch of guys and Tom Brady could just go to work and just throw it to these guys or whatever. But what's going to really end up happening is we're going to look like the Packers in a while. After a while, the Packers with Aaron Rodgers not ever going to another Super Bowl other than that
Right,
one,
just yeah.
because who did he have to throw to? Just bunch of guys, and it didn't look like the Patriots. It looked like that, like, and I just feel like that's kind of how our offense is starting to look. I know it's kind of early, and that might be a little hyperbolic, but I really don't think it's all him. I don't think we have the arsenal right now. Is what I mean to say.
I mean,
I'm agree with that.
I can totally get behind that, but I think I've seen more horrid passes from Mahomes this year than the rest of the years him as a starter combined.
He's done some bonehead ones. There's no doubt about it.
The one that sticks to my mind, I think he was trying to throw it to MVS, like a deep ball to MVS. Missed him by about 20 freaking yards.
Yeah.
Like, I mean,
was that the Giants game?
No, that was the Jets game. Yeah, the Jets game. Just this past Sunday.
Last night,
yeah. It's, I mean, like, he's made some passes where it's a little bit off, where it's like, oh, that's just the speed difference between, this receiver and that receiver, and I'm used to throwing to that guy and stuff like that. That I can excuse, but when it's that huge of a miss, that's rough. And then, I mean, I for me, at the end of the day, like, the common factor for all of these is Mahomes, and he's the one throwing the ball. Yeah, all right, these guys are maybe W2s or, wide receiver 3s on any other team, but at the end of the day,
at this point, all of them. But that's just me.
Yeah, and I mean, that's fair, but it's like, at the end of the day, you still got Patrick Mahomes throwing to you, and the way people talk up Mahomes, you'd expect him to be able to complete those passes. You compared it to, like, Tom Brady, and the Patriots putting it together. The difference is, like, okay, Brady wasn't throwing bombs, he wasn't making sidearm jump passes and all that kind of stuff, but he still passed the ball correctly, and those guys caught the ball because he would put it right to where they needed to receive it in order to catch it.
Right.
Like, since Randy Moss left that team, he hadn't really had a wide receiver one either, unless you want to really count Julian Edelman, but I don't think anyone would count him as a WR1. He's a, a sockeye 2 role specialist kind of player. Brady would still complete passes, and that's why he had, those 7 touchdowns. So hopefully I'm wrong, and I want people to prove me wrong with videos showing me it is purely a wide receiver issue. You know what? After 4 games, I'm starting to think it can't be. It can't be just one. It is a bit of an issue, no doubt about it. But even Kelsey was out there, just missing the ball because it wasn't thrown to him. The routes that we would expect him in years past to have easily caught it. And, it's got to be just as much the passer as it is the catcher to me. So hopefully I'm wrong, and hopefully they continue to grow here. I mean, it's important to remember it is a new offensive coordinator. We're 4 games into the season. We didn't even have our best player on the field for one of those games, our best receiver on the field for one of those games. So hopefully it continues to grow, but I think what will really help us is to continue to lean on the run game like we clearly did against the Jets, because it worked really well.
It worked really well. Yeah.
Yes. So more of the story is Swifties, Billy blames you.
Yes.
For this.
Please come get mad at us.
Yes. For this lackluster offensive performance lately.
God, no,
your
I'm
girlfriend's
in trouble.
Gonna beat you.
I'm in
Billy.
trouble.
Yeah, you live with one. I forgot about
live
that.
I do.
I mean,
We need to bring on the show.
How dare you? Are you not scared? I mean,
it's oh God, I'm in trouble now.
Absolutely.
All right.
well, last thing I'll say on all of that is that when at the beginning of the seasons we were getting ready to start and everything, the lack of not having a favorited wide receiver, a favorite receiver besides Travis Kelce, I think that I could speak for a lot of Chiefs Kingdom in that we weren't very concerned because we felt as though Mahomes could elevate any receiver's game. He was just able to do that. And so the distribution of the ball has been fair so far in the first 4 weeks here. It's been a little bit of I think maybe we had a little too much faith in that, thinking of, hey, anybody can be made special with
Hmm.
Mahomes here to help out.
Yeah,
So,
I think
it's
that's
and
a really
again,
good point.
and then just like you guys have said though, but there's definitely something weird because Mahomes has been playing. He has been throwing a lot of really ugly balls. And there's something there that's been said. So I don't know. We definitely have time to get it corrected, whatever it happens to be. But I just want to say that I think we had a lot of faith because I did. I remember thinking, "Oh, we'll be fine. We don't have a wide receiver 2. We'll be fine. We don't have a wide receiver 1. We'll be fine, because somebody will step up and make that play." But
yeah,
it hasn't quite happened how I think we foresaw it to
It
be.
just
yeah,
for me, the thing it harkens back to is that ankle injury, and it's like it feels
Mhm.
like he hasn't made those huge plays that we expect him to since that injury occurred. Reasonable when it did immediately occur because, duh, high ankle sprain on your plant foot, you're not going to do that well, and nothing has been reported as a lingering issue. It's just he hasn't gotten back to what we would expect from him. So is there something there? I doubt it. That's pure speculation and probably not true. It's just the only thing I can even think of that's changed over the past year that could possibly be an indicator. So I'm curious.
yeah. I also, again, I'm gonna kind of lean into the receivers here. I
Mm-hmm.
also think we might need to look at how this team evaluates receiver talent because I think we have the Mahomes can throw to anybody thing. Yes, we were all thinking that, and I think we all maybe underrated guys like Juju Smith-Schuster,
Mm-hmm.
who had came off an injury, but before that he was a Pro Bowler, right? Like he
Yeah.
was a good,
Yeah.
he was a solid receiver with the Steelers, and he was pretty solid with us as well.
Yeah.
These rest of these guys, I would say, relatively unproven, right? Relatively unproven, except for maybe MVS. MVS has been like I would say a level below that, the below what I would consider Juju.
Uh-huh.
But Sky Moore, Kadarius Toney, uh, Justin Watson, yeah, like these guys are, yeah, they're like. Well, I just think like they're if you're playing fantasy right now, each of these guys are WR3. Like they'll get you maybe like 5 or 6 points on a good day. Maybe somebody gets lucky and get you in the end zone, get you an 11, but it's not. I don't think they're that reliable, and I think that's
Mhm.
another factor that's for me kind of hard to ignore with the offensive woes right now.
Mm-hmm. Well,
But
hopefully things continue to improve. At the end of the day, all that matters is the points on the board, and as long as things
yeah,
continue to at least trend positively in that direction, um, I'll
and
be
I
okay.
will say, yeah, and I will say we're people are kind of worried about the score, right? One again, that defense was good, right?
Yeah.
Like there's the Jets, Sauce Gardner supposed to be the top corner right now, even though I
Mhm.
personally think it's
Old Trent
McDuffie, our
McDuffie.
guy.
Yeah.
Yeah, our guy. But two, and this is not based in any actual thing, but Chiefs fan superstitions, right? But this is not new for the Chiefs. This is what they do. In the Mahomes era, they only like they say on Joshua Briscoe and them, they only win weird games. They only play weird games.
Ugh, weird games
Last
only.
year, yeah. Shout out to Farzine on Twitter. I think that's how you say his name. But you guys probably, I'm sure everyone's seen him. He's very, very notable Chiefs
Mhm.
fan on Twitter. He posted 5 of the scores from last season, the season we went to the Super Bowl. So we played the Titans. The Titans, we won that game 20-17. The Titans were what 5-2 going into that. And I think we were 5-2 as well. But I could think we can say, kind of looking back, the Titans weren't that great of a team. for that game or for that year. We played the Broncos. Y'all remember this game? We played the Broncos where we
That was
got
a
up on them.
shootout, yeah.
Yeah, pretty early, and then they started to come back. The final score was 34-28. Then same thing with the Houston Texans. It was
Right.
like a weird, really, really oddly close game, closer than it should have been. So that one ended up being 30-24. The Raiders on Monday Night Football 29-30, and the Broncos again was 24-27. So
Right.
we've had games like this, and there's probably some from there. No, they're not even probably. There are some from
yeah.
the previous season that are definitely like this. Like we have these weird games where thought we were going to smack them, and we didn't. But you know, the sign of a good team, and Mahomes said this in his interview too. I mean, you got to be able to win ugly just like you can win clean. So, I mean, you obviously don't want to win ugly all the time, but there's going to be games like that and games like Sunday night where you're going to win ugly. So there was a lot going into that. Sorry, I was just saying there was a lot going into that with the whole, the whole Zach Wilson is a scrub thing, right? Like I'm sure he was juiced up. I'm sure he was ready to shut these people up. You got Aaron Rodgers there for moral support. You got the whole Taylor Swift of it all there. That was a factor, right? Like because now this is the biggest game since the Super Bowl, as far as the ratings were concerned, right? As far as the viewership, this was the biggest game since the Super Bowl. You know they wanted to shut that down.
Yeah.
So they came with a little bit of an extra chip on Sunday night, and I think we kind of saw that, and that's kind of that. Like we as much as our team didn't play what we think to the best of their ability, we can't discredit the Jets. They played a good game on both sides of the ball. So.
And yeah, it's we've even talked about it a lot late in the year last year, especially following that Texans game. We just have a bad habit of playing down to the level of the team we're playing against. You know, it's like we'll have those games every once in a while where we do blow them out like the Bears and all that, but for every one of those, we have 5 or 6 games where we play to the level of a team that we should be, you know, absolutely dominating.
Right.
I mean, also, it is important to remember at the end of the day, the NFL is, I think, without a doubt, the most balanced sports league in the entire world. You never know who's genuinely going to win a game, and I think we'll even talk about some surprises on our next slide here. It's you just never know, and that really is something to bring into factor here because, yeah, like you said, you know, the Jets did play really well. I think going into this game, the Jets defense actually isn't as good as you were talking about. I thought they were going to be the #1 defense this year. And for their first 3 games, I think there was something like 31st, 32nd actually in yards allowed in a game. And points allowed, they're in the 20s, you know, whatever. That's a unit that's been underperforming all year, if you want to talk about anyone underperforming. And I think they finally did wake up against us, which good for them. I just wish it hadn't been against us, but hey.
I mean, they still handled business against the Bills, who you could say maybe was playing off that game too, but I think we're looking at the Bills differently now, though, right? So
yeah.
And then I don't know about you guys. I obviously 20 points on the board is a really good scoreline for any defense. It felt like our defense was making some boneheaded errors though that we hadn't seen from them in the first 3 games. Any thoughts on our defensive performance, or is this just a case where this is a weird game? You know, and hopefully we'll be back at Zach Wilson magic, exactly.
I think there's a chance they overlooked him. I think there's definitely a chance they overlooked him. I mean, like Mahomes said, he played like Mahomes was being hyperbolic. He told Zach he played like effing Aaron Rodgers. He didn't play like Aaron Rodgers, but
he played like Aaron Rodgers. Reload a loss. Yeah,
he played like a competent. No, exactly. No, 100%. There was a few of those plays that were missed. I was like, Aaron Rodgers would have made that.
Right.
As much as I like ragging on him, he would have made that play. But he did play like a competent NFL quarterback, and I think they weren't expecting that type of performance from him. That's just my theory.
Fair.
But,
I'm with you. Absolutely.
It was definitely underestimated for sure.
Breece Hall had a little spur. He was showing a little bit of that rookie Breece Hall.
I do have to ask you guys, because I know at least one other person on Twitter agreed with me. Did you hear Priest Holmes instead of Breece Hall at any point in time during that
No.
broadcast? Really?
No.
No.
I swear, it sounded
No.
like they were saying Priest Holmes at points. All right, I'm crazy.
You know what? As many T Swift shots that me and my friend took, I didn't hear that. Like every time
Yeah,
she
and
showed
then
up,
so
which
Rod
was
didn't hear
17
it.
by the way. Yeah.
Oh, good God.
Yeah,
Did you
17.
make it out of first quarter okay? I mean, wow.
I survived. I did survive.
It's-
Yeah.
Wow.
But I
Okay.
heard someone threw up on a
He's
plane.
been he's been
playing the same
training for
game.
this.
Ew.
Yeah.
Ew.
Oh man. Yeah,
Oh,
that's
Yes.
it's going to be curious to see how that continues to play out. I guess now the question of the week isn't, what do we think the Minnesota game is going to be like? It'll be more of will she show up to that one? So,
Man, this is just gonna be one of the storylines of this season.
It is, yeah.
Every season has some weird storyline. I mean, I know we had. I'm blanking as we speak right now, but I know there was some stuff last year. Oh, well, I mean, I don't know if it's the same, but it's almost like this is the they don't have Tyreek Hill anymore
yeah.
storyline of the
Yeah.
year.
No,
You
it's
know, the
it's
thing
it's
that they
on
just
that
bring up
level.
every single game.
It's on that level, absolutely. And it'll
Yeah,
valley out
so-
at some point, and then they'll break up, and that'll become a storyline for another couple weeks, and then we'll be fine
Jesus.
afterwards. It's
Yeah, we're
I
here now,
mean-
guys. We're here.
we're waiting for it.
We're here.
All right.
All right, let's talk about the rest of the games.
Yeah, please. I for all of my talk about love of 8 a.m. games, I did not actually watch any of the Falcons Jags game.
You didn't?
I caught a little bit here and there, but what was I doing Sunday morning even? I can't remember. So I didn't see much of it. I caught some of the highlights of that like augmented reality, which did look pretty cool.
It did.
But shoot, Falcons? What the heck? Did they just stay at home, not even show up? They had to find I can't even make a joke about a JV team because none of those exist over there.
I honestly don't think any of the AFC South teams are good. Like I don't think it is. I mean, it's to me, if I were to pick one to win it, I think it's the Bucks, but I don't think that conference, that division is good. So
yeah,
I
NFC
wasn't
South is
surprised
very
by
weak.
that.
Yeah.
Yeah. What did I say? AFC South? NFC South.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's okay.
Yeah. But yeah, no, I expected that. I expected them to get smacked, and I saw it in Toy Story Vision.
Nice
Yeah.
segue.
Yeah, absolutely. But yeah, I mean, Jags handle business. So you didn't catch any of the game at all. Did you see any like the highlights?
Yeah, so some of the highlights, and I mean, honestly, like the scoreline in this game, probably exactly what you would expect to from a Jaguars Falcons game.
Yeah. No, I think the Jags are a team I still stand by, who I do believe are a playoff team. I think they've kind of not really lived up to that these last couple of games, but they have shown in each one of those games so promise. You know what I'm saying? They've shown, but they've had flashes.
Right.
They've had flashes. This was their first, I think, complete game where they put together like a complete game and handle business. And they're London's team anyway, so maybe that played a factor. I believe they're staying out there for next week because they play the Bills next. So that will be one to key in on. That'll be
wow.
Yeah, so it'll be London. They play 2 London games this year, I believe. Only 2, I believe. But yeah, so they play the Bills, and I believe that's is that this Sunday?
Oh, I'm looking right now. Let me see. Yeah, I believe so.
So I am 100%
back-to-back
keyed
London
in
games.
Yeah, I am 100% keyed in on that game now. Because they're starting to show flashes of that playoff team, potential playoff team, right?
Wait. I have a question that is neither here nor there. Do they just stay out there?
I think
would. Would you go back?
Heck no, I'd want to stay.
Yeah. No, you stay out there.
Travel.
And
Yeah.
I think it's safe to say in the next 5 years they move out there. I think
That would
they're
be-
done
yeah.
with Jacksonville. Shadiq Khan makes it clear he wants to be in London, and NFL would love for a chance to expand out there. I think we're looking, 5-6 years from now, I mean, at the very least, a formal notification that they're making that move, because the owner wants to be there. and
Yeah.
the NFL would love to expand in Europe like that. So, yeah, I think it's a matter of time.
I'd only like that if they do a Europe league. Otherwise, it sounds miserable. Like we'd have to play anytime we'd have to play them. Either they fly here or we fly there. Oh no, thank you.
Yeah.
Well,
No, thank you.
but I think on top of that, though, at some point in time, somebody's going to bring back, and this is just me scientifically nerding out here, the Concorde jet flying supersonic speeds so that all of a sudden you can get from somewhere like New York to London in only a couple hours. And once that's there, something like NFL-based teams in Europe is way more feasible.
That'd be the
Wow.
only way they speed that up.
That'd
is
be
for
the only,
NFL.
the only way you can really make it happen. But I mean, imagine
Yeah.
the two coming together hand in hand. Shoot.
Yeah. But yeah, the Falcons had hella turnovers. Like, it was like,
Just
come on,
like a
guys.
ridiculous amount.
Yeah,
Yeah.
a lot of pick sixes going on. And again, it's extra funny watching that in like Toy Story mode. Like, so I really did watch a good portion of the game in that mode. And
Did
I'm
you watch
pretty,
with your niece?
you know what? It's funny. I had both. You guys know how I have my setup. I got
Mhm.
both games. I had it on in regular on one screen, and then I had it on in
Toy
the
Story,
Toy
yeah.
Story in the other screen, and they weren't
Love it.
quite in sync. So one was a little bit ahead, but she was watching the live version, so she had no interest.
You were the
She
one
had no
watching
interest.
that. Yeah.
Yeah, I was the one watching that. But yeah, they weren't in sync. One of them was a little bit ahead, and I only did this for the second half. For the first half, like you said, it's an 8 a.m. game. I just got up out of bed, so I'm like, first thing I'm gonna do, I'm gonna watch this first half on my laptop. So
Mhm.
that's what I did for that, right? And then
Right?
once I actually got a little coffee in me, was able to go into the room with the setup. That's when I put both of them on. But if you look at some of the videos on Twitter of them side by side, they did a pretty good job. Apparently they put
Uh-huh.
chips in their helmets for them to track the movements, and that's kind of how they did
That's
that.
pretty much all.
And yeah, there was a lot of glitches. There's a lot of glitches, but for overall, and then from the reaction on Twitter, it did seem like people, for the most part, enjoyed it. And I mean, I think this shows promise for just some things that they could experiment with for the next couple seasons. So yeah.
Mhm.
It's exciting. I did show Kate one of the, I think it was one of the pick sixes, and when the Martian pops up with the touchdown screen, she did a
Dude.
little jump scare, and it was freaking hilarious.
Aw.
It was funny. I you know what I would like personally if they do this again next year, like say they stick with Disney, right? They have so many different franchises. Let's get a little Star Wars or something. Let's get a little Marvel. I would even say if you want to stick with like the kind of Pixar stuff, you could do like Monsters Inc. next year or something.
Absolutely. Oh, that'd be
You know?
fun. Yeah.
Yeah. Like I'd like to see them change it up. But other than that, yeah, it was different. Different way to watch football for a matchup that I had no interest in watching really all that much anyway. So
I think you nailed it there. It's like there's no way I could watch the Chiefs in that, but
No,
anything
definitely
else,
not.
like
No.
just for fun, yeah.
yeah, definitely
Uh-huh.
not. Absolutely not. Well, yeah. So yeah, I guess it did its job because it was a matchup I wasn't
Right.
looking forward to. Yeah. So yeah, absolutely. Like my own team.
Nah.
Nah,
I want to see the
not yet.
actual play. I want to see how Jawan
Yeah,
Taylor's going to screw us on this play. Exactly.
Oh, they'd have an animation for
God.
that.
All right, Houston versus Pittsburgh. I know last week I mentioned I think Pittsburgh's defense is legit and looking really
Yeah.
good, and then C.J. Stroud, rookie sensation, steps in and just destroys them. Do you guys
Yeah.
think Houston might be legit this year, or is this just confirmation bias after 4 games and 2 of them are pretty good?
They look better than last year. I don't know if I want to say good, but they look
Right.
better. They look better. Like this is what you want to see from a team with a first year coach and first year quarterback, right?
First year quarterback, first year coach. Yeah, I mean
Yeah.
they did a lot of turnover and it was all positive. I feel.
Yeah. Yeah. So it shows promise. I need to see more, but they don't look like the same old Houston so far.
But and I do have to say this connection that CJ Stroud has with Nico Collins is, I mean, this is looking like a duo that could, be something. As these guys seem to have that understanding that you expect out of a quarterback and his elite receiver, kind of like what we get out of Mahomes and Kelsey, or go back to even Stafford, Megatron, like those just duos that when they're on the field they're going to connect and they're going to do well. And man, CJ Stroud, Nico Collins together are looking like that kind of team.
Absolutely,
it works.
So I'm curious. Obviously the Jags will probably win the AFC South, but it'll be good for them to finally have some competition, because I think it's pretty safe to say the door's closed on the Tennessee Titans. They're done for a little while.
yeah.
And the Colts are just continuing to be the post Peyton Manning era Colts. So
Yeah.
if there is going to be any competition in the AFC South this year, I think it's Houston who's going to have to bring it. Will they? Won't they? We'll see over the next few weeks, but got fingers crossed for it, so it's looking fun.
Yeah. Yeah. So your Bears.
I had to triple take to look at the score with the Denver Broncos coming back against them. I was convinced that game was over.
Listen, I want a full investigation launched into the Chicago Bears organization, because they are clearly tanking. Because ain't no way, ain't no fucking way, ain't no way that they let the Broncos come back like that.
It's
unintentionally. That was on purpose.
We all saw it. We all saw it.
Just my lord.
No, they're doing this on purpose. They're going for Caleb. They're tanking for Caleb Williams. So that's clearly what's happening. That's clearly that is clearly what's happening. They are trying to blow it up. I don't believe for a second that they legitimately lost that game. That's my conspiracy theory.
And that's that's the wild thing for me though, is because they almost don't need to tank, because they have another first round pick next year from a team that's garbage right now. So sure. It's I agree. No, there's no way this team loses that game, right? Without it being intentional. Yeah. They are currently gunning for 1 and 2 overall draft picks next year, and they might just get it.
Again, Caleb M, receiver. I don't know.
Right.
They are definitely going for Caleb Williams.
Man.
Yep. Miami Bills. Miami Buffalo.
Surprise.
Miami burnt themselves out, I think, against the Broncos.
They sure did. They left all their offense in the week prior.
I mean, it started off competitive, but then,
that quickly changed.
Josh Allen, Stephon Diggs. Yeah. I have a running argument every week with a group chat of mine and I'm winning, right? Because I'm the one that said, I actually do think Josh Allen is a good quarterback. I do. And my friend tried to tell me he thinks Daniel Jones is a good quarterback.
Oh, Lord.
Yeah. And so he just commented, he's like, so Josh Allen. I was like, yeah. 96 overall in Madden. That's his rating, right? I believe it's a 96.
Wow.
Right? Yeah. He looked like a 96 overall this week.
He did good. I mean, almost every single touchdown they got was a passing one, looking at it. And then he had a running touchdown. So he certainly had he certainly had one heck of a game. And Dolphins just kind of they do seem to be leaning more on Devon Achane, or however you're supposed to say his last name, which is interesting, I feel, because Mostert still feels like a running back 1 here. But, Achane got the 2 touchdowns, or 2 of the touchdowns that the Dolphins did score. And then, I don't know. I mean, it's hard to be... Hard to say this is a surprise, because obviously the Bills are the Bills and they're really good still, but after that 70-point game against the Broncos, I think you'd expect the Dolphins to put up a little more of a fight. And I wonder how much Daniel's kicking himself in the butt now, not going for the NFL record, right? It's man,
I mean, he should have just done it.
He should have just done it.
If we see anything, especially from those scores I listed off earlier, rivalry games can get crazy like this. Just because the Dolphins are good, they are good, doesn't mean their division rivals don't know how to play them. I still think they're a good team. But I do think maybe the Bills are a lot better than I was giving them credit for earlier in the season. I mean, definitely looking like a Super Bowl contender. I'll go ahead and say it. Especially since we know who's not going to be in the conversation for a while. Um, I would put them up in there right along with us, and I still think the Dolphins might have something. So those
And
are
and
the
you
three
can't write
teams to
off the
beat.
fact, yeah, you can't write off the fact that the Bills were playing at home, so that is a tough environment to go into, and it's not even winter yet, granted,
Sure.
but uh,
Which,
yeah,
to your point about the winter thing, if anything, what this shows to me with these Bills teams the last 3 years is they need a dome.
they're
Because they
getting
actually
one.
start off hot all
Yep.
the time, and then towards the end, once it starts getting cold, they play like a team that's cold. It's playing in
Man,
the cold. They can't get it done.
I'm gonna
Maybe that's a factor. I'm just putting that out there.
I'm gonna be so sad when they finally do get their domed stadium because I think it's in the works. I believe it's like that. I know the plans exist, and I think they're like working on getting the appropriate tax benefits in order to make it happen, and so they'll get it at some point. But I will be sad to see those outdoor Buffalo, New York winter games go away because yeah, that's some fun
5
football to
feet of
watch.
snow.
Yeah.
That stuff is
yeah.
unhealthy.
It
They
is
should not be
Ugh.
doing that.
it is unhealthy for the fans. We should it's
I don't know how they haven't
Yeah.
had people just die in there.
oh, I'm sure they
It's just
have, and they just haven't found them.
Only
They're
from
still
fights,
frozen
though.
somewhere. Yeah.
yeah.
Oh
NFL
man.
fans are dying from fights, not from the snow.
Dude, there's been like a fight every week.
It's
insane.
awful. It's
Yeah,
terrible.
Yeah.
Yeah, I just saw another video from last night.
Oh my goodness.
From what was it, Giants? Yeah, Giants
Seahawks.
Seahawks.
Yeah.
Yeah, I just seen another fight from last night. And I saw one
It's so bad.
for Chargers Raiders. Somebody got in a fight with Mark Davis.
Yeah. Unreal.
Got an argument.
What?
Yeah, so not a physical fight, but it was a fan yelling at him and he
Words,
started
right?
yelling him back. Yeah, but it's
Oh
just
my
a
word.
crazy environment when the owner of your team, you're getting in a heated argument with the owner of your favorite team.
Right. Just I'm trying
Absurd.
to imagine what I would yell at Clark Hunt, right?
Oh my god, he probably was just he was just laughing off or whatever.
Right.
I can't even see that man get like upset.
Not at all,
Uh,
right? Not at all.
yeah. But let's go ahead and talk
All right.
about who's not a Super Bowl
Oh
contender.
my! I mean, what has happened? What am I missing? What has happened to the Bengals?
I mean,
Like-
I think your thing with the ankle on Mahomes is definitely
Is definitely what's
calf.
happening.
Yes, with
There
Joe
has
Burrow.
to be something from that from his injury still. There has to be.
And compared to Mahomes, he doesn't have an offensive line that can at least help him
No.
stay somewhat okay. This
No.
offensive line is probably the most embarrassing unit in football right now, I think. Like
Orlando Brown Jr. Go ahead, sorry.
no, it's I mean, I know Burrow's not the most sacked quarterback. I think right now it's what's his name over in the Commanders. If I saw the stat earlier and remembering it, he's been sacked 20
Sam Howell?
Yeah, Sam Howell. He's been sacked 24 times in 4 games, which is pretty embarrassing. But I mean, just
Well,
because
Daniel Jones is quickly climbing up on
I
that number.
he was
So,
22 is what I saw. Yeah.
Oof.
Um,
Okay.
Yeah. So it's like, okay, the sack numbers aren't there, but at the end of the day, sack's not the only stat that matters when it comes to this stuff because there's still QB hits, QB pressures, all that kind of stuff. And the Bengals offensive line is that is the group I am convinced that is single-handedly holding these guys back from being able to win a Super Bowl.
Yeah.
And I think, I don't know about you two, but I think it is the one thing you need to be working fully in order to win, not just games, but championships, is like if you have an offensive line firing on all cylinders, it can make up for a mediocre quarterback. It can make up for a mediocre run game. It can make up for all kinds of things. I mean, we saw Zeke Elliott be
Absolutely.
made into the best running back in the league by that absolute monstrous of a Cowboys offensive line. And the Chiefs offensive line has been great, giving Patrick Mahomes protection and all this kind of stuff. But the second you have a bad offensive line, you're not going to win anything. And this is just continuing to prove it.
Yeah, you saw what happened with us in Super Bowl 55.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Good point.
I would just say, and you talk about mediocre quarterbacks, I would say the Niners, I don't know if I would call him mediocre, but he's not like an elite quarterback by any means, but he's
Right.
protected back there.
Yeah.
Yeah, and Orlando Brown Jr. looks like the biggest bandit in the league, man. Just highway
is.
robbery, man.
He is he's the one person making me okay with Jawan Taylor, because Taylor was the one who was brought in theory to
Right?
replace Brown, and I'm like, all right, yeah, Jawan's messing up some, but he ain't no Orlando Brown right now.
No.
Oh man,
Yeah. And
like
then people
Orlando Brown and Chiefsaholic working together there.
right. Right. The getaway car. Just always got the getaway. And people are
Well,
blaming
and it's just
Joe.
baffling the amount of money spent on your quarterback, and to
Yeah.
give him this franchise historic contract deal, but to not give him any pieces of protection. It does
Nothing.
not make sense.
Nothing. Yeah.
Terrible,
It is
terrible.
not paying off. They I mean, I think they should bench him, honestly. Like, let him get healthy. Let him get healthy, because you pay this man a lot of money.
Exactly.
And right now you are not only risking this year's playoff chances, you're risking like multiple
Career,
years
yeah,
playoff chances.
yeah.
Yeah, career. Yeah, like by just kind of dragging him out game after game.
Well, and it's not a good business decision. How much of his contract is guaranteed,
So
right?
much of
So
it, yeah.
come on now, guys.
They should bench him. Yeah, I mean, Bengals fans, we love to rag on y'all, in Twitter, and which Chiefs Twitter has had a field day, like, or has had a field month ragging on Bengals Twitter. They have, like, they've been
Yeah.
savage to a point where I'm just like, guys, ease up. The body's already cold, But we part of that is we like the people we hate to be a little competitive, and they're
Yeah.
just not right now.
No,
And
I can't
so-
wait for Burrowhead to come up again, and it's just
Yeah,
like, come on,
yeah.
all right, yeah, we hear you. Is that what? Do we
Yeah.
play? Do we host them this year? Are we going there? I mean, I can't
That's
remember.
a great question. I don't
I'm
even
pulling
know.
it up now. It's no, it looks like they'll be here at Arrowhead.
At Burrowhead.
I hope that's just this spanking comes down.
I hope he learned his lesson.
Oh yeah. All right. Any other games this week that stick out in y'all's mind, or we ready to look forward to week 5?
Let's look forward.
All right. Well, I think we go ahead and skip to the bottom of this list for our fantasy football update. I think there's a really great result that came out of
I'm
our
all
league
for
this
this.
week. Yeah. Man, Ra, how
That Matthew
how big a DK Metcalf fans are we right now, Ra? And he's gone. He's just
Hello?
out.
Hello?
He just left. He's
I can't speak right now on this.
Sorry,
He lost by due
I
to
had
the
to.
math.
No, sorry, I had to make sure that I got my computer plugged in. No, I already know y'all want to talk
Okay.
trash. I'm gonna hold it out. I'm gonna stand up to it like a man, though. That's why I had to make sure my computer had juice. So I can go ahead
Y'all,
and
it
take this
came down
one.
to one player on Monday Night Football.
0.08.
One player left.
0.08 points win goes to Hungover Raw.
0.08 of a point. Oh my God.
That game lost me 2 games. That game lost me 2 fantasy matches because I had another match in the bag, right? And Gino was my starting quarterback.
Oh
So-
no.
Oh, and he went
So-
down.
Oh,
Yes, and
no.
I only needed 3 points. I only needed 3 more points from him. So it was
You're
2
like, yeah.
devastating losses thanks to the Seahawks.
Wow.
Damn Seahawks.
That's
Well, I very rarely cheer for the Seahawks, so but
Right.
yeah.
I know that must have been painful, but it did work out for you.
It sure did. 0.08 of a point. It sure
there it
did.
is.
Right.
I won all of my fantasy matchups this week, y'all.
Love
Nice.
that.
Rah rah.
Congratulations.
I think I
Thank you
split.
very much.
I think I split.
I split too. I went 1-1. So I had a
I
good
went like
week
3
this
and
week.
3.
Yeah. I think I beat Scott by about 80 points in our league, which felt really
Oh.
good. So
Madison in our league.
yeah. Oh God.
She talks
Who
a lot
is
of
Madison?
trash. She talks so much
yeah.
trash. I love
Yeah,
it.
he's a
I
good
like
trash
her.
talker. Yeah,
Yeah.
He's a good trash talker. So it's
Madison.
Oh, it's
Yeah.
a he. I'm
yeah.
sorry. I
No,
should not
it's
assume.
well,
Okay, I'm like, I
we
like
can make
him.
fun of him
Okay.
for it. Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
I
It's
mean,
yeah, he's a friend of mine from college, and it's like his first year back playing fantasy in forever, and yeah, he's been bringing the smack, and I'm loving it. So we need everyone else to
absolutely,
get involved in the chat and smack back.
No,
absolutely.
I was like, yeah, I like the chat. It's nice to see that back and forth banter between you and him. So I'll have to jump in there
Absolutely.
with my 800th of a point
Hey,
win.
you know what? It's all a win, and that's what matters, right? That's all that matters. All right, Chiefs play
Oh, that was so
Minnesota in week 5. I saw
yeah.
a sports book spread on head coaches most likely to be fired and like what the odds were for it. Kevin
Mm.
O'Connell is, I think, was 3rd overall in that list of most likely to be
Mm.
fired. Do you guys think if the Chiefs, and let's call it a smackdown. If the Chiefs smackdown on Minnesota, do you think there's a chance he is gone, or do they continue to hold on to him for as long as they can?
After the
I
game,
think,
no.
yeah.
Yeah, I think it has to be this end of the season.
Really?
Oh, you think that? Okay,
I think
Well, they were a playoff team last year, so I mean, you can't. I
right.
mean, it'd be hard to disregard that. To me, like it's not like they were garbage. Like I always say. So remember, you guys, I did say that Vikings Giants game, I called it the playoff game. I called it the fraud bowl because I didn't believe in either one of those teams, and it's starting to show itself this year for both of those squads. But between the two, I did think Minnesota was the better team, even though I believe they lost. Right?
Minnesota,
Better.
yeah, won against. Wait, did they beat the Giants in the playoffs last year? Come on, I just watched quarterbacks. Holy moly. I can't
I
remember.
think they
I
lost.
I
can't
think they
remember.
lost because I think the
Yeah, I
Giants
think they
went on to
lost.
play the 49ers, right?
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. But
I mean,
either way, I do. Don't you think a playoff appearance buys yourself some time as a coach?
I think so. I mean, it's not as bad as what is the Bears coach's name? Matt
oh yeah, he's gone.
Eberflus,
Yeah,
whatever. I mean, was he on that list, Billy, that
he
you
was
mentioned
number
that you
one. I'm
called? Was
pretty
he
sure.
number one?
Yeah, yeah.
Okay. I could see him being fired after Thursday night's game if they lose. I could see that happening, but I don't see the Vikings head coach losing his job come Sunday after a loss.
See,
Especially to the Kansas City Chiefs. I mean, you got to take your opponent into consideration, right? So,
I'm torn on this
yeah.
because I think if you want to be a team that this year, because Minnesota, like frankly, Kirk Cousins is probably gone after this year, right? Just he's old. He needs, yeah.
Yeah.
At some point, you got to put the guy out to pasture. He's gonna have to retire. All this kind of stuff.
Coles is ready to hire him. Okay, Coles is ready for him.
Exactly.
So.
If you know that this is the last year you're gonna have this quarterback who could maybe win you a Super Bowl, right? Like he's kind of that, bang average enough that he could do it. He's the Joe Flacco, right? It's if you're going to do that, you have to pull the head coach out then. Because that's the two big changes you can make to a team in order to make a Super Bowl run. You can't replace Kirk Cousins right now because there's no available quarterbacks on the market to replace him with. And frankly, your backup's not going to do it. Otherwise, he'd be the starting guy. I mean, they lost to the Chargers, who frankly aren't covering themselves in glory so far this year. Lost to the Eagles, which isn't that embarrassing, but you also lose to the Buccaneers, which is not great. And then you barely beat the Panthers to be 1-3. And the Panthers are so bad that this was a game of who wants to lose more and not who wants to win more. You gotta take him out, I feel. And like if it's a close game against the Chiefs, that's a little more leg to stand on. You go, okay, we went toe to toe with a team that has a top 5 defense right now and Patrick Mahomes on the other side of the ball. At that point, O'Connell can be like, yeah, I mean, we got something to work with. If he gets blown out, though, I think you have to have that conversation and look at replacing him before it gets too deep in the season, and then you're really scrambling.
Absolutely. Yeah, I mean, yeah, I guess it depends on what their goal is right now. Like, you think they can make a Super Bowl run this year by changing the coach, then yeah, they'll definitely do that. I don't know. I just feel like I feel like the season would have. I feel like they think they could make a Super Bowl run with the staff that they currently have, Like, didn't we think the Giants were gonna? Or, sorry, the Vikings were gonna be good this year?
We
Like,
did. Yeah.
Justin Jefferson was number one
Right.
player, right? Like he's one of the I mean Mahomes I think was number one in most rankings, but I believe Justin Jefferson was number two. Right?
Right.
Like we thought we were going to see big
One.
things from him,
And he's
and
a
just hasn't.
number one fantasy draft pick guy. He's he's number 2 on the
Right.
NFL 100. Like he's supposed to be the guy. And then they also got a really good tight end in the form of T.J. Hawkinson. But I mean, they pretty much sold everything else. Like Adam Thielen was gone, but you need a wide receiver too. And then they gave up Dalvin Cook too for pretty much nothing. So
For sure. Yeah, it'll be interesting. It'll be interesting. But if we're doing like keep the receipts, do I think he's getting fired after this game if we win? No, I think they'll let
Okay.
him play the season out. But yeah, they're definitely in the hot seat. He's definitely in the hot seat.
I think if we blow him out, he's out. But yeah,
Okay.
I mean, the
Okay.
Chiefs also play down to our opponents as we just talked about, so there's always a chance we don't blow them out. So that's kind of where I'm landing on it. Do we want to go ahead and do the score predictions and tie to it? Will O'Connell keep his job?
Mm.
Let's do it. Let's do it.
Okay, I'm sticking with my same.
What was your
I'm
yeah?
gonna
What was
say,
that?
She's riding
30
this 39-7.
I'm
Is that right?
writing this set of numbers 39. Wait, was it 37 to 9 or 39 to
You did
7? Now
39
I
to
can't.
7. You did 39-7.
Okay, for the Jets, right? Okay, so 39 to 7. I'm riding this wave.
3 weeks in a row.
Chiefs victory 39-7.
Okay.
And
Okay.
does O'Connell keep his job or no?
Yeah, he keeps his job. Come on, they play the Chiefs.
All right, Raw.
I'm gonna go 28-7. I'm gonna go 28-10.
28-10. All right.
28-10. And he keeps his job.
He stays. All right. I'm gonna go along with Hung here. Big point differential, 42-10, and I'm gonna say he's out.
Okay.
Ooh. Okay, I like it. I like that 42-10.
Yeah, just to be different.
Cool. Well, that's
All
a
right.
show, isn't it?
Now we got to talk about some other things this week. Come on, you
Okay.
want to get out of here this quick? I think we can run through pretty quickly here. First off, are either of you watching this Thursday night game, or are you just considering an off Thursday?
Who's
I
playing?
mean,
It's the Bears versus Washington Commanders.
No, there's
I
no. Oh yeah, that's
mean-
right. No, hell no.
am I
No.
going to waste my hotspot while sitting at football practice to watch that game, y'all? I don't know.
No.
Okay.
I'm gonna tell you right now. No.
I just yeah, the only thing about this game for me
Terrible.
is it has to be Eric Bieniemy proving himself, because if he can't put points up on the Bears, then we know why he's not a head coach. So
Yeah.
that's
Hey,
that's
they
the
went
only
toe-to-toe
reason
with
I
the
would pay
Eagles last
attention.
week, so
A division game, dude. I'm gonna ride that
division
one.
game for
Yeah.
sure, for sure.
All right, Cincinnati, Arizona. Is this where Burrow gets his legs back under him, or will Arizona beat them?
I like
I
the Josh Dobbs experiment right now.
Yeah.
Same. I was gonna
Yeah.
say I think Arizona's running on something right now.
Yeah, I like that.
Like,
I
they're
like the Josh
playing-
Dobbs. Yeah.
Yeah, they're playing hard. They're playing chippy. They're getting in people's faces. I don't know.
They're not a great team, but they're dangerous.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I think their defensive line is good enough that they'll continue to embarrass the Cincy O-line. And, Arizona wins this one for me. All right, then game of the week. I think this is without a doubt something we can all agree on. Dallas versus San Francisco.
Yeah, this will be a good
For
one.
sure.
This is
Yeah.
going to be fun. So
Yeah.
I'll certainly be watching some Sunday night. I mean, does San Fran go to 5-0, or does Dallas, even without one of their star players, able to lock this up?
So is Micah? I know didn't he get hurt during this Patriots game, or am I tripping on that? Like, I thought-
that's a
Micah
great question.
Parsons did get
yeah,
hurt.
he did get hurt.
Yeah. I don't know the
He seems to be
severity of it.
fine. I mean, he's been on his podcast talking. I'm assuming that he's probably okay.
Mhm.
That man is he needs a PR agent. But
Yeah, I mean, all
No,
the news I'm seeing around him is unrelated to any kind of injury, so I think it's pretty
yeah, I
easy
think he'll
to.
be there.
Yeah.
Yeah, he'll be there. Yeah, I mean Dallas, they we had some questions last week because they had lost to the Cardinals and they had injury to one of their best players, right? But then they came back this week and smacked the Patriots, right?
Right.
Which
Worst defeat in Bill Belichick's coaching career, and he coached
yes,
the Browns.
Uh-huh.
So
yes. So they're still very much in the conversation. Like I said, that last Arizona game, Arizona's dangerous. Like I would say, that Arizona, like that was a classic trap game. This Arizona team's a trap team. Like I said, I think they're
absolutely.
dangerous. Like right now. So, yeah, let's see what they got against who I think will be going to the Super Bowl at the NFC. And I've said this every week. I do think it's going to be the 49ers.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, let's see.
All right. I think that's all we have really for this week. Yeah. I don't know. Any other final thoughts?
No, like you said, bye weeks are starting, so this is where it gets interesting. Um, my view on this season has started to change a little bit just for a few weeks in. Like it looks like we as a team, our team, a lot of the tough schedule is on the back end, and so we're going through what we call these quote unquote easy games now. But seeing what the Bills did and realizing we're gonna have to face them, the Eagles are still dangerous. We've got some tough opponents coming, so I really want to see what we think this team actually looks like because it feels like right now we're not sure as a
Yeah.
fan base. We think
Right.
we're good. We think we obviously have a Super Bowl chances, especially having the experience we have going to what 3 of the last 5, winning 2 of them. So yeah, I mean, it's hard to beat experience, but so far doesn't seem like we're 100% that Chiefs team, at least on the offensive side of the ball that we know we can be. So I'll be curious to see what happens next.
All right. Well, there it is.
Absolutely. But people, please be sure to like and subscribe to this YouTube channel to help us get seen in the algorithm. Follow us on X, aka Twitter, at SOT Kingdom KC. Yes, I'm saying it now just because I feel like
Gotta brand it.
it's here to
Yeah.
stay. I feel like it's here to stay. We're on Instagram too, SOT Kingdom KC. You can follow myself, The Almighty Ra, on Instagram and Twitter and TikTok. And Billy?
All right. I'm just on X alone. It says Chef Doobles there, CHEFDOOBLES. Catch me there for all my lovely thoughts and opinions. And what I guess next week we'll have to talk about quarterbacks, won't we?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
So,
Proud
Well,
of you.
actually, that's the perfect show to talk about it because we'll
we'll
have
have just played
watch
Kirk
them play each
Cousins.
other.
Yeah.
Yeah. So absolutely,
All right,
we'll save it
great.
for that.
Cool. And Hong, where can they find you?
All right, y'all. Every social media platform you can think of, just about. I'm on it. First and last name, Hung Forrest, HUONGFORREST. I'd say I'm probably most active on Instagram, TikTok, and X. So come along for the football fanatic. Stay for the journey, the inspiration, the mom life, and the craziness. Let's just call it what it is. It's craziness. That's what it is.
Absolutely.
So come along, y'all. It's a fun ride most days.
Damn. All right.
All right.
Until next week, then.
We'll see you.